What's good, everybody? It's your boy Batman, and today we're going to be doing a video of Minato versus Tobirama. This is basically going to be a response video to a video that I basically have seen that was really freaking bad. It was a video that was made by King Bullet, and so this is basically going to be my response to that video, or to anyone out there that actually believes that Minato and KCM would lose to Tobirama. Alive or not, this man would not lose to Tobirama. Like, it's just not happening. But, you know, in order to establish that, basically what we're going to go over in this video is going to be the narrative implications and basically of how Minato even scales over Tobirama just in, you know, a narrative alone. And then after the narrative, we're going to be going over power and chakra. What's it called? And then another thing we'll also be covering will be Sage Mode, how that also affects Minato and how that can also enhance him and make him more powerful and faster as well. And then most importantly, you know, after that, basically, you know, we'll get into the comparing and contrast, you know, between with Naruto with his KCM 2, which literally Minato has the same exact thing. So overall, meaning he can do the same exact feats, chakra, you name it. So overall, like, there's going to be a lot of comparing and contrast between KCM 2 Naruto, KCM 1 Naruto, and Minato, because we're going to be going over him, you know, basically all the variations of him, just briefly to keep it simple. And obviously we'll cover Tobirama and go over him. And that's basically going to be it for the sense of the video. So as for the first thing, we will start off, and this is just basically, you know, a data book implication. And we're, like I said, we're starting with narrative scaling first. So, you know, basically, as you see, cutting through the darkness of the ninja world, the yellow flash, that awesome prestige time and space too, seemed to stand still. Okay. And then a handsome man shining with natural born talent, like a blinding glint, purple lightning. Time and space itself seems to stand still. Minato handles to perfection. Basically, the flying Raijin space-time ninjutsu that was invented by the second Hokage, Tobirama, and learned from Master Jiraiya. The pride of being a ninja. His achievements began 27 years ago with the Jinchuriki kidnapping, preventing the Mist Ninja during the Third Great Ninja War. He led inferior Konoha camps to victory for times too numerous to mention, praised among the ninja as the greatest in godlike speed. The honor of that village fascinates even the elite of other villages. Okay, and then basically, using his own, you know, Nine Tails cloak, his own chakra has been sealed together with the Kyuubi's half body, gaining the impressive Kyuubi chakra mode, which we all know. And then overall, going beyond the village border, giving praise and recognition to the bravery of others. You know, it's the composure of a truly powerful person. After crossing many blades with the Raikage A and the Guard B, the military forces were mutually recognized, and just things like that. And so that's going to be the first narrative implication that you guys are going to be seeing here. The next is going to be over with during Minato in his joining days. This is when he basically has a nickname of the Yellow Flash. The fourth was famous for being a hero as a soldier. Everybody respects and fears him, calls him the Yellow Flash, the figure of him mowing down and killing the enemies in an instant, just like a flash of lightning is enough to make many shinobi be afraid of him. Moreover, by doing so, he saved many of his comrades. One can't help but be surprised by him, who defeated many military forces extremely easily. And then, basically right here, he's like, so the enemies, like, I killed them all. And then, you know, that's basically what this says, you know, like, don't tell me the famous Yellow Flash of Konoha. And then basically, you know, from here, this is him going against 1,000 shinobi, and they're like, watch and learn, otherwise you'll miss it. And then with the space-time ninjutsu is one of the fourth original technique that makes him fly freely about the battlefield, passing through the wall of time and space, but its structure and principles are warped in a veil of mystery, and it's currently known as legendary in the Leaf Village. And then right here, it says jutsu formula that a kunai mark that allows me to appear there with its space-time ninjutsu. The effects of the space-time ninjutsu is that he instantaneously moved in the place where the jutsu formula is written. And then this just go over his command ability and all that, and the role as a teacher, but that's not too important, so we're not really going to get into that. And then next is, this is basically going to be covering with Minato of like his run on sight order. So literally he had a run on sight order across all enemy nations, okay? Literally to the point where if you saw this man, and mind you, this is when he's a Jonin. So, you know what I mean? Compared to 4th Hokage, the fourth Hokage is a stronger version of Minato, more experienced, more, you know, faster, stronger, you name it. Okay, and this guy is like, they told us to flee the moment we caught sight of you, and he's like, now I understand, and bam, basically kills, basically showing that this is mainly the consequence of what happens if you try to fight against Minato during literally the war. So there's that as well. And then basically from here, this is just basically showing that Minato, you know, also has sensory abilities just like Tobirama, where he's able to detect people, and basically stating there's at least 20, but I believe there's at least 20, but I believe they're shadow clone doppelgangers, so he even knows they're shadow clones, remind you, you know, and basically just, you know, showing clearly that he can sense enemies and whatnot as well. This is during in part 1 in Naruto, which also shows more narrative implication that Minato was just on a whole other level in comparison with, you know, all kinds of shinobi, you know, and basically from here, you know, it says everybody pales in comparison to the fourth lord. As a shinobi, his capacity was unparalleled, a true one of a kind. He was overflowing with the talent for a jutsu and intelligence. He was socially popular, and well, he was quite a looker just like me, but that's irrelevant. Okay. And that's something also really important to put in consideration, because he knows about Hiruzen, he knows about Tobirama, he knows about all these ninja, okay, yet that's what he's saying, and he's, you know, constantly praising and acknowledging the fourth Hokage as basically a one of a kind, okay? Someone just, that's just absolutely, you know, everybody pales into compare, like, you know, like it just, he's on a whole other level, basically. Okay. And this is during the war and everything, where Kakashi wakes up and basically explain out how, you know, that with the kunai that he allows him to quickly hop around with his transportation technique, and basically says that he killed them all the enemies. This is another really important implication during the part 1 in Naruto when Kishimoto's writing, to where basically Orochimaru summoned the first Hokage, the second Hokage, and then literally, like, he's literally, Hiruzen, okay, mind you, who knows the first Hokage. So if you guys aren't going to take my word with Jiraiya, you know, praising him and everything, Hiruzen is literally like, I must prevent him from raising the third no matter what. No matter what. Clearly implying that the fourth Hokage is the bigger threat here in this page. He thought the fourth Hokage would give him the worst amount of problems possible. That alone should say something, okay? And that's literally giving indications in the beginning of Naruto. Another thing that I'm not going to show, I could show, and if you guys don't believe me or whatever, then I could always post it in a Discord or whatever. But there's even a point where Anko, you know, Orochimaru's like student, to where she literally tells Hiruzen if only the fourth Hokage was still here. Doesn't ask for anybody else, but just immediately referring to the fourth Hokage. Clearly just showing that he has a legendary status that was just on a whole other level entirely. Okay? Right. And then, so basically that's, you know, it for Minato for narrative implications, and we're going to be moving on to Tobirama. Alright, so we're going to be moving on with Tobirama with his narrative implications, basically how he started. So as you all know with Tobirama is part of the Senju clan, and the Senju clan is a very powerful clan to where they have pretty crazy chakras and, you know, and stamina and whatnot, and they're really, really strong. They're basically like brute power, you know, shinobi of a clan, and their main rival of a clan was against the Uchiha clan, as you all know. So that's basically how the Senju clan works and everything. And then overall, with that being said, basically from the one thing that we have seen with Tobirama is the fact that back then, you know, he fought against Madara's brother, and then, you know, he was able to beat him in the end with the flying Raijin technique, and he was able to basically get the fatal blow on him, forcing Madara to retreat, and then, you know, which resulted in his brother's death. But there's really nothing impressive from that or anything, because unfortunately back then you're not really able to quantify and actually see, you know what I mean, like where they're currently at during that time, or who's, you know what I mean, like the power wise and everything. It doesn't really help or prove anything when it comes to scaling, and overall just in comparison further on as things progress, you know, Minato is just far surpassing things even in that caliber of what Tobirama was doing back in that era. So overall, with that being said, then you get to this this page in the manga to where literally it's Kinkaku and Ginkaku, and they're like, oh, a pitiful, snared by the second Hokage when we beat him before. And then literally they say this kid bears the third's lightning mark. They say the third Raikage. It's not the second, the first, or anything. The third, meaning they clearly lived long enough to see the third Raikage. Okay, and then Dari's basically talking crap. And the reason why I was even bringing that up in the first place for you guys is because when it comes to Tobirama, okay, there was never any legendary appraisal or status that was ever done narratively, at least, or being implicated when it comes to comparison with Minato. With Minato, on the other hand, okay, literally what freaking happens is the fact that you know, he has a run on sight order, you know what I mean? Like, no one can mess with him. He can solo an entire war by himself, fight against thousands of shinobi. Literally, the Tsusukage was literally saying, yeah, it took one of Konoha's shinobi to win. We're conceding this war. Basically, you know, backpacking by himself. While Tobirama, on the other hand, literally, okay, lost to Kin and Gin, Kinkaku and Ginkaku, twice. Not once, but twice. The first time they fought, okay, and literally what happened is this is the first time as well, you know, is a while back they did, you know, a staged a coup and they attacked both the second Raikage and the second Hokage. The fact that they attacked both of them and were still not able to win is just absolutely crazy. And they did that by themselves, okay? Not with anyone else, by themselves, which is absolutely insane. And then to follow that up, literally the Raikage even states that, you know, they drove the second Hokage to the brink of death, and then basically explaining to Tsunade that they have the Nine Tails chakra and all that and everything. All right, and the reason why that is bad, okay, and the reason why that really, like, is very weird, you know, and at the end of the day, I'm never really going to understand where Kishimoto kind of was going with this and what was even, you know, if he just didn't think far enough for it or you know, really try to, like, you know, provide an actual reasoning, you know, why this was even the way Tobirama died to begin with. But overall, you have that being said, and then literally, like, with basically with Dari, what happens is literally there's a guy named Dari, okay, and he basically is the one that has to fight against Kinkaku and Ginkaku basically by himself. Mind you, they have the Sage's Six Path tools, they also have the Nine Tails power, and this guy is still able to literally win by himself, and then eventually along, you know, with other people once they go into the QB transformation. And this is just showing a page of him literally being able to use just his speed alone to cut off his arm and deal with one of the weapons that he was holding. You know, and then furthermore to top that off, then doing his, like, you know, lightning and basically, you know, just giving them more of a run for their money. And the anime even provides more detail of him reacting, dodging, attacking, you name it. Then you even have this point where, you know, basically, you know, he's able to dodge an attack. He, like, jumps away, clearly showing that he has the speed and everything to dodge. And then there's another point where he's able to get behind them and basically, you know, kind of again do some more damage and get rid of the weapons. And even though he does touch one of the things, you know, that's basically it. But either way, he just lands even more damage, showing even more successful hits. And then while that's going on, this is, you know, also showing that him using the tools, where he literally uses it twice. Which reminds you, these tools require a stupid amount of chakra in order to be able to utilize them. And the reason why they're able to do it is because they have the Nine Tails chakra as well. Yet he can still do it twice. And we all know at the end of the day, Tobirama should have more stamina and more chakra than this guy. So if he's able to land attacks, dodge, react, you name it, there's no way you're not going to tell me the second Hokage with flying Raijin, shadow clones, you name it, can't be able to somehow, some way do similar things, teleporting, using their tools, and you name it. You know, and with how intelligent he is, it just doesn't make any sense. Okay. You know, and then basically what happens from here is one of them gets sealed with the tools from Dari. The other one gets enraged. He's like pissed off, you know, basically wanting to kill him, goes into his V2 form, and then basically launches an attack, and Dari is still able to dodge the Nine Tails transformation. Which reminds you, there's people out there that be like, oh, well, Tobirama probably died, you know, or lost both times because he had to fight the power of the Nine Tails. That's still not an excuse, because this man's still able to dodge with no teleportation or nothing, and he can still dodge a full V2 transformation attack. And also fight both of them at the same time. And, you know, and land attacks and deal with them and you name it. And start winning the fight. There's just no excuse whatsoever. You know, and then there's people that even have the excuse of, oh, well, Tobirama, you know, basically he probably was fatigued or he was tired. And that's why, he died, you know, and sacrificed his life. And it's like, do you know how many Naruto characters have been fatigued and tired and still be able to pull a W? AKA Minato, Naruto, Pain, you freaking name it. Being fatigued and tired is not an excuse. AKA the fight with Naruto versus Kakasu, for crying out loud. So, literally, like, it gets to the point where, how do you guys even, like, think that's a valid reasoning for why he even lost to Ken and Gin? It's not at all. He, with the amount of chakra he has, the feats that he pulls off in the war and everything as well, it's like, come on, like, there's just no way. It's very, very weird, it's very stupid, and that's also something you guys need to put into consideration on the narrative side of things, okay? And then basically from here, okay, what happens is then you have, like, Earth Shinobi Rock Ninja basically coming in and, fighting against literally the V2 transformation. They're able to do things, Then you even have, like, a point where Choji's using his move, kind of slamming him. Shikamaru even is able to hold him temporarily. Ino's able to use her mind transfer and hold him. And then eventually, after all that, then Dari uses a tool, the sealing tool, for the third time, okay, which takes a shit ton of chakra, and is able to seal them, and then talks his shit. So overall, like, that's kind of what you have when it comes to the narrative implication of things. And that's just something you guys kind of need to understand. Like, at the end of the day, Tobirama, there's no way he died or lost to their tools. And the reason why we know that is mainly because if he died and lost to their tools, he would have been sealed and he wouldn't have been able to get brought back by Orochimaru Zeto Tensei. You need to be able to have access to the soul. The only reason why Orochimaru was able to bring him back because he was able to release them from the Reaper Death Seal, okay, which is why it's even stated by Orochimaru, okay, that you can't bring people back unless their soul is in the Pure Land, aka heaven, okay, and they weren't. Instead, they were like basically like in another version of hell in the Reaper Death Seal's belly. So you have to take them out of there, and then basically after that, he could be able to bring back the Hokage, okay, and that's kind of what you're working with. And anyways, so overall, that's the kind of, to get that out of the window as well with anyone that says, oh, he probably lost or died because of the tools. That clearly implies that the tools weren't even, used to kill him. That overall, he more than likely died either by the Nine Tails power, or you could possibly say it was the other weapon tool that is basically the Six Pass fan that you can use to, like, which uses all 5 chakra natures and basically can kill you instantly or one-shot you or whatever. It's a 6-pass tool, and that's the whole point of it. So now that we've discussed narrative scaling and everything, basically clearly providing where Tobirama kind of stands and everything with Minato, that's just something you guys need to keep in mind. And another thing, really to put into consideration when comparing and contrasting both of them and how they even died to begin with, is Minato died because of the full power of the Nine Tails. And mind you, wouldn't have died if he wasn't, willing to sacrifice his life to count on his son to be able to utilize the power of the Nine Tails and basically save the world instead of him. Okay? While Tobirama couldn't even handle a tiny portion of the Nine Tails of power. While Minato can fucking take on the full power of the Nine Tails, and then eventually even the 10 Tails in the fucking war arc. along with also fighting against Juubito. Okay, so it kind of gets to the point where it's like when you really look at it, it's like Tobirama loses to that, while Minato loses to the full power Nine Tails. You see where I'm getting at overall. Like it's just a clear big difference narratively with those implications, and overall this is just something to look at, because at the end of the day, you trade anyone else in Tobirama's shoes, Kasame, Itachi, you name it, whatever, they would not have lost in that situation or died. You know what I mean? Like, it's so silly, And then another thing that's also put out there that people will use before I even drop the narrative scaling and everything, is that people will actually have the audacity to say, oh, well, he lost because they had the power of the 5 Hokage. Because there's actually a statement that states that, that with the 6 path tools and everything, you gain the power of surpassing the 5 Hokage. And I'm going to tell you something right now. Okay, Dari does not have the power of the 5 Hokage. Okay, like that should say enough. And not only that, if Dari used it, Ten used it. You know what I mean? So like, it's to the point where it's like, it's come on. You know what I mean? Like, we know Ten or Dari, or even them do not surpass the 5 Hokage. With the tools, if it was like to be a successful attack or whatever, sure, that's fine. Maybe like literally with the tool itself, but overall for like the user and everything, it's just not inherently implied, and it's just not even true. You know what I mean? If that, it's just blatantly not true. Otherwise, Dari would have never been able to win. Okay, and then not only that, there's even another statement that I forgot to mention. Where the Raikage and Tsunade were actually about to head to the battlefield to utilize a tool to deal with the last one, Kinkaku, and basically deal with them himself, but they didn't have to because Dari was able to do it himself regardless. So that's also something to put into consideration, that the Raikage and Tsunade believed in their power enough to be able to deal with that individual. So now we're going to be getting into basically with Minato, as where he's basically being compared to Naruto and KCM 1 when it comes to speed and power and everything. So this right here is basically referring to Raikage, where he literally states that the Raikage's nerve transmission and his reaction speed are on par with the Konoha's Yellow Flash. Basically saying impressive that they're even keeping up and blah, blah. And then the Raikage has manipulated his chakra to augment his reflexes. Not even the Sharingan will be able to keep up with him. Okay, so meaning his reflexes, nerve transmission, reaction speed, all that is basically on par with the Yellow Flash when Minato was a Jonin, remind you. That's the crazy thing. Okay, so keep that in mind. Then you have basically Minato as, a Jonin, where he's having to fight against the Raikage and Killer Bee. Okay, and one thing I'm going to say, as of now as well, is if Killer Bee and the Raikage had to go against Kinkaku and Ginkaku, they would have got shitted on. Okay, absolutely shitted on. And the craziest thing is he charges at Minato point blank in his face, this close, and he's able to, throw his kunai up, while this is happening. He throws the kunai and then teleports. He's like, he outdid my top speed. And then once that happens, basically Minato's like, all right, I'm leaving, blah, blah. He's like, you're not getting away. And then he's like, all right, go fly, whatever, looking at all the kunai, and then he would just teleport and go there instead. Okay, and then he literally teleports again, and he's able to basically, get behind the Raikage. But before it even gets to that point, when he teleported to that one spot, then teleported back to attack the Raikage, was literally about to kill him with a lightning cloak. Mind you, this is like a power that should be able to withstand the 8 Tails, full transformation and fight, you name it, unless that's just a third Raikage defeat, or it only stands for him. But then, Killer Bee is able to react, use his tail, and he's able to slice the tail, which is pretty impressive because we've seen Sasuke cut that with a Chidori. We've seen Obito cut that with his big ass shuriken. So the fact that he's just able to cut, the 8 Tails tail like casually, just with a kunai knife, is just absolutely insane. And that's basically that. Okay, and keep all that information. And then we have like a basically a comparison, like a time skip way in the future, where it's basically showing all that and literally connecting the dots with KCM 1 Naruto. Okay, clearly showing that the yellow flash Minato as a Jonin was on the level of KCM Naruto. Mind you, this is when he doesn't even have a QB cloak or anything. And he's charging at Naruto at full speed. Same exact thing, remind you. Same thing. And he's able to teleport. And to prove that he was at full power and everything, Killer Bee's like, he's like even at top power. Can't believe he's going to try to kill Naruto. You know, and that's when he pulls that feat. Another thing you guys also need to put into consideration as well is while referring to Jonin Minato at the very least, and this also would apply for Tobirama as well, so it is impressive for him too, but it's really impressive for Jonin Minato as well, because they basically discussed that in order to do the flying Raijin, okay, it's basically due to that the fourth Hokage taught them, okay, but it takes all three of them, 3 elite Jonin, to utilize the flying Raijin, while Minato can just spam that shit, you know what I mean, over and over, solo wars, backpack, run on side order, you name it, and do it completely by himself, okay, and it's crazy. And they literally like say, like, unlike the fourth Hokage could do it alone, takes all 3 of us to do it, you know? So, overall, that's just something to really put into consideration when it comes to, like, his chakra and stamina, and overall just how crazy powerful Minato is. And obviously for Tobirama too, it's very impressive. So, just keep that in mind. Alrighty, and then now basically what we're going to get to is basically getting to the fourth Hokage Minato. So this is when Minato is the fourth Hokage, where, you know, you could definitely, you know, like, for anyone that really think that he is not stronger, faster, more, you know, more experienced, you name it, is just an idiot, okay? It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever to literally come out and be like, oh, fourth Hokage is just the same as the Jonin Yellow Flash Minato. Like, there's nothing different. It is so very, very blatantly ignorant and so dumb. You know what I mean? So if you guys, for anyone that even has that type of mentality, you need to get that out of the window, because then if that's the case, then you have to apply that with every other Naruto character in the series and have fun with that type of mentality, and tell me how you feel with keeping characters at the same power level when they first start in the show. Okay? But anyways, so you basically with Minato, what you have here is him literally suppressing the full power Nine Tails. Because remind you, when a Jinchuriki is giving birth, that's when the seal weakens, and basically the Jinchuriki has to be suppressed, otherwise it will go on a rampage and be released, and you name it. Him himself is suppressing the full power Nine Tails with the seal. Absolutely crazy. And the further you go along, whether if it's in the anime or the manga, it clearly shows him struggling, and he's like, come on, hurry up, Naruto, you name it. So the fact that he's even doing this, which would require a lot of chakra and stamina alone as well, is crazy, because after this, we get to see everything he has to do after, okay, and the man doesn't get any breaks, you know, which this just clearly goes to show how much chakra and stamina that he has while without the Nine Tails, okay? So overall, basically, you know, to put in consideration, basically before we even get to everything, Minato uses the Flying Raijin 13 times and teleports the Nine Tails twice, okay? Well, he teleports the Nine Tails once, and then teleports his full QB bomb twice, and summons Gamabunta, which requires a crap amount of ton of chakra. Okay, when Naruto was a kid, you saw like I had a lot of blue, and then the majority of it was all red to summon him. So keep that in mind. Then a body flicker to save Naruto before he was stabbed by Obito, and okay, he had to do the Reaper Death Seal twice. Okay, use the sealing technique twice to seal both halves of the Nine Tails. Overall, this man has insane chakra and stamina reserves. Absolutely insane. That's just something for you guys to keep in mind, and I'm going to show you that briefly. This is where he does the body flicker, and then he realizes there's bombs, and then he's basically forced to utilize the Flying Raijin. This is basically him utilizing the Flying Raijin, and then, you know, he made sure Naruto was not hurt. So, and then a lot of people actually try to use this splintered thing as like a downplay. But the craziest thing, what a lot of people really forget when it comes to Minato, is while in base, okay, he was able to tank literally a Wind Style, a Mataratsu enhanced Fusion Rising Shuriken from KCM1 Naruto and EMS Sasuke to the face, to the body, you know what I mean, and be perfectly fine. And then everyone wants to bring up this nonsense. It doesn't matter. And the reason why it doesn't matter is because literally, not only is he in a very stressful situation and literally focused on keeping an infant baby safe, okay? Literally says, phew, Naruto's not hurt. He didn't give a shit about himself. So he's not really utilizing chakra to enhance his durability or to make sure, or to protect himself, you know, or anything like that. He was literally just focused on Naruto to make sure he landed and to make sure he didn't get hurt, even if it meant him getting hurt. And mind you, it's literally just a wood thing. It barely even stabs him. It just makes like a little cut. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like it went completely through his leg either. He was perfectly fine, you know? But that's that. Then you have the point where he eventually teleports back, you know, to Kushina, grabs her, and teleports away from the Nine Tails attack. Okay. You even have a point, and then it gets to the point where he fights against Obito, you know what I mean? He teleports once to dodge his attack, then he teleports again after throwing the kunai and lands a rising gun, which this is a very big deal. A lot of people really, really overlook this, okay? And the reason why is because he is the only character besides Itachi, okay, that was able to somehow, some way bypass Obito's combo without phasing through him, which is crazy, okay? Flying Raijin level 2, all right? Absolutely crazy. Very important because when you get it further along in the show, Madara, as literally Jubi Madara, okay, wasn't even able to go through Obito's combo when he tried to get back his eyes. Jubi Madara couldn't even do this. But yet, Minato could with Flying Raijin. That alone is crazy. And then after that, this shows him teleporting again, and then also placing a seal strong enough to cancel the Nine Tails. Then there's a point where the Nine Tails shoots a Tail Beast Bomb, and he literally just teleports it away like it's nothing. And then there's a point where he eventually teleports back after, you know, beating Obito and everything and saving Kushina, okay, and literally to the point where he appears back and then, you know, what's it called? He summons Gambunta to slam the Nine Tails, the full power Nine Tails on the ground, and then literally has to teleport the Nine Tails along with the Tail Beast Bomb, which is insane, an insane amount of chakra. The reason why that's insane is because literally, okay, he says, hold the Nine Tails down, it's going to be tough for me. And then he's like, I'm going to need a lot of chakra to transport such a large object away. He is literally teleporting the Nine Tails and another Tail Beast Bomb again. Just insane amount of chakra and stamina he has. And then in conclusion, this is just basically showing him using the Reaper Death Seal, you know what I mean, to seal and basically, you know, seal the Nine Tails power twice in half. And this is what the moment I was using to compare for you guys, where Jubi Madara tried to attack Obito, and he couldn't bypass his combo. Clearly just going to show how crazy broken Flying Raijin is. Oh, and another thing to put into consideration for you guys, there's also people out there that wanted to like kind of have like as an excuse for Tobirama that maybe, you know, he couldn't sense, or, you know, any danger, that when he got ambushed or attacked by Kingagun Gigu the first time, that, you know, whatever. He was literally at a peace treaty. He's literally with an enemy nation. A nation that could literally be setting him up. He's probably the most paranoid person in existence, okay? There is no way whatsoever to convince me that he was not utilizing his sensing abilities. To where he's not even really dealing with danger, kind of just talking with everyone, and then walks and he's like, you know what? I do sense a powerful chakra in the direction of 2 o'clock. 9 Tails of chakra. And then he says, I even sense Madara. So overall, this right here alone proves that is just blatantly not true. If you even refer to the 5 Kage Summit, nobody there was having their guard dropped or just, you know, being all jolly and everything. Blatantly not true. Keep that in mind as well. And then the next thing we're going to get into, now that we've covered basically 4th Hokage Minato and before his death, okay, where he also would have access to Sage Mode, okay? Mind you, everything we've been covering so far is narrative compare and contrast between Tobirama and Minato. Now we're covering basically chakra and stamina, you know what I mean, and power, just basically base to base, okay? And the last thing that we left off without Minato would be his Sage Mode, which we all know he has access to because he literally does it instantaneously, okay? And it looks exactly the same like Naruto, and it's a perfect Sage Mode, which is absolutely insane. To the point where Naruto right here is doing a big-ass, like, Rising Shuriken. It looks like a goddamn planet, a light and everything, okay? Just crazy amount of chakra and power you can have in Sage Mode. So imagine Minato applying that to a Rasengan. Then there's even a feat where you have Naruto doing literally like shit ton of shadow clones, is doing fucking massive Rasengans. Literally all of them are in Sage Mode, you know, like just all these Rasengans, bro, you know, crazy. So imagine Minato replicating feats like this, having the strength and power to literally flip over the full power Nine Tails like he's a fucking, like he doesn't weigh anything, you know? And the only thing I really left out for Sage Mode Naruto as well, guys, is basically the fact that where he was just a normal Sage Mode Rising Shuriken, not a big one, just a normal one, he was also able to pin down the full power Nine Tails. Alrighty, and then the last thing to put into consideration for Minato while he's just in base as the 4th Hokage is literally he is the first one to arrive in the battlefield. This is really important, okay, because he literally teleports to his kunai, okay, showing that he's utilizing Flying Raisen, okay, and basically, you know, he arrives, and when he literally came, he teleported a 10 tails fucking Juubito bomb, okay, a 10 tails fucking Juubito bomb. And while doing that, also placed all his markers at the same time, had a conversation with Naruto and Sakura as well, you know what I mean? And you know, while doing all that, just in a blink of an eye. In base, while all the other Hokage are trying to catch up. And then you get to the point where eventually Tobirama gets there, and then it's Hiruzen there, and then it's Hashirama that gets there. The fact that Tobirama arrived there, you know what I mean, second, but like then immediately like fucking Hiruzen and Hashirama come, is pretty freaking sad, because while they were still trying to head over, Minato once again had a full conversation with Naruto and Sakura, teleported a 10 tails fucking Juubito bomb away, you know what I mean, and placed all his markers and everything, which I'm about to show that as well for you guys. And this is the most important thing here. Hiruzen's like, Minato, you're as fast as ever. And Tobirama's like, you're even better at teleporting than me. Teleporting than me. Flying Raisen and everything. That alone should go to show you that he surpasses Tobirama altogether. That freaking simple. And this is also something else to put into consideration. While Tobirama more than likely would have knowledge in sealing jutsus as well, but this also proves that Minato does know sealing jutsus because it was a monkey clan and Kushina teaching him. She even tells him, I taught your Minato along with other sealing jutsu. Something very important to realize. So now we're going to really get into the big boy stuff. So we're literally going to be comparing, we're going to be discussing, you know, because we already discussed Minato and everything just in base and with Sage Mode, and also even before when he was being compared to just KCM 1 Naruto, and that was without the Nine Tails power and while he was a Jonin, okay? So with all that information being stated, alright, now you give Minato the Nine Tails power. Do you want to see what he's capable of now? Well, here we go. I'm going to make it very quick for you guys. The first thing is Kishimoto even does another narrative implication of showing that Minato is KCM 2 level when he's being compared as to the 4th Hokage. In the anime, it literally shows Minato and everything with yellow light and everything in the 4th Hokage robe, and then Kakashi's like master, and then realizes that it's Naruto. Okay, this alone goes to show that Minato is literally comparable to KCM 2 Naruto, which is insane. Okay, because KCM 2 Naruto is a beast. Where KCM 2 Naruto, which also, if you guys don't know, Minato also has KCM 2. Okay, just keep that in mind. So, basically to imply the same shit that you see with Naruto, literally is the same shit that Minato can be able to do. Naruto smacks away literally 5 tail beast bombs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, okay? Just smacks him away. He moves so fast in a blink of a light and just smacks them all away like they're fucking volleyballs. You know, and then they're like, wow, the mountains, that's within the biju's power. You know, and then Obito's like, god damn it, they were all repelled. That is insane. Minato is now on this level. Please tell me what the fuck Tobirama would do if he fucking saw 5 tail beast bombs being launched at him. He has 2 options. Either teleport away or die. Okay? While Minato, on the other hand, could just smack these away like they're nothing. Nothing. That's crazy. And people want to tell me that Tobirama beats KCM to Minato. Wow. Another point where it skips forward to where Madara is talking crap, Obito's talking crap, Naruto gets pissed off, does his KCM 2 speed again, and literally teleports. You see the light right there. It's like swoosh, okay, and you know, skims through, swoosh, whatever, and is literally able to speed blitz Madara, okay, and Obito at the same time. He grabs Madara's, Susanoo sword, and he grabs Obito's Kamui Shuriken. Absolutely insane. And just does it in a blink of an eye. Speed blitzing. Edo Madara and Obito. This is also another scene showing basically the full power, KCM 2, his biju transformation, where he's literally freaking bullying all the other tail beasts in their full transformation. And this is when basically the 5 tail beasts combine all their chakra into a tail beast bomb and shoot it. And the 9 tails does all his chakra into a tail beast bomb and is able to stalemate it and shoot it up the way he hit it. And literally to where the 8 tails is like, the 9 tails is really is super strong. Clearly showing the level of power Naruto has. And this is right here of it showing that. So to anyone out there that thinks, that tail beasts aren't power skilled either, clearly shows you how powerful the 9 tails is in comparison with all the other tail beasts. And this is another thing I left out for you guys while Naruto is, this is not him in Sage Mode, but when he gets just a little bit of 9 tails chakra and as a shadow clone, and he's able to summon all these shadow clones and just spam Rising Gun barrages, big ass Rising Guns, to cancel out Edo Madara's wood style deep forest emergence. Insane. This is also the 8 tails doing like his tail biju twister. And mind you, you've seen how powerful the 9 tails is. This is the 8 tails. Imagine the 9 tails being able to just do shit like this in his full biju transformation. So Minato, what does Tobirama do in this? And this is also showing when I was talking about in the beginning when Minato first arrived, and then they get, and he's like second, third, come stand in front of me, you know what I mean? And then literally they're like, you already placed your markers. He's like, yes, and Tobirama's like, you're quick at striking too. And this is also to show that Minato, literally, when he teleported the 10 tails, tail beast bomb, and it shows the Shuriken all the way far, the kunai all the way far out, and just blows up down there, clearly showing that he was utilizing Flying Raishin to get to the battlefield as well. Okay, and the reason why that gets very impressive that Minato's even able to teleport that tail beast bomb is this is Naruto going into Sage Mode to see how powerful or how much, whatever. And Ninth is like, all you'll see is just how immeasurable it is. The power of the 9 tails. He's just pure natural energy. Sage Mode itself, basically. Okay, that is insane. The fact that Minato as an Edo can teleport that level, just something that's the power that is considered immeasurable, is just beyond me. And this goes to show that it's, you know, natural energy itself and everything, and, you know, and this is before he's about to see like how crazy powerful it is. So another thing we're going to get into before we start, Naruto in KCM 2 was able to give the entire Shinobi Alliance chakra 3 times, remind you. 3 fucking times. First time he does it, okay, after basically, you know, Neji dies, and it's a whole plan for Shikamaru and everything, or Shikamaru's dad. Then does it a second time to basically save everyone, you know, from the Ten Tails Tail Beast Bomb from Juubito. Okay, which remind you, Minato teleported the entire Shinobi Alliance, okay, out to save everyone. Saved the Shinobi Alliance twice, okay? Even Tobirama states that and says, wow, you've saved the Shinobi Alliance twice. Incredible. Tobirama himself, okay? So just to keep that in mind, and I'll show you the other 2 times that Naruto does it. This is the 3rd time when Naruto actually shares all the Shinobi Alliance. So he actually gives them like KCM 2 cloaks of power, and they do Rising Gons. And then while everyone else in the Shinobi Alliance has chakra cloaks as well. And then they start doing the pull tug of war. And this just goes to show how much power Naruto gave the first time to Kakashi. When like way back when they were fighting Obito, and he was like, it's about 3 times more power that I could, you know, do with his Kamui and everything. Then he gives him more power the first time, then more the second time, you know, and then just basically the same the 3rd time, which is insane. But technically, at least for the, you know, his friends, he gave him a KCM 2 level of chakra power, which is insane. Those literally shoots literally a whole blast of chakra beam again, while literally the 9 Tails and the 8 Tails shot like multiple biju bombs, and he just shoots it all back. So this is showing where basically Killer B does, you know, the bombs. He does the 9 Tails does the bombs as well, and then that's when, you know, the 10 Tails just shoots a big blast and just basically reflects that shit back. And literally Killer B and Naruto have to basically shield themselves, okay, shielding themselves, and then Killer B gets basically hit with the Kamui. And Naruto's able to tank a full explosion of multiple Tail Beast Bombs from the 8 Tails and himself, which is insane, clearly showing how crazy his durability is. This is also a statement from Tobirama basically saying that he can't move everyone simultaneously like Minato can, because, you know, he has a Tail Beast chakra, more chakra and everything, and to be able to connect to them. Clearly implying that as well. And this was the 2nd time when Naruto gave him all the Kyuubi chakra, by the way. And then literally the 4th Hokage teleported the entire Shinobi Alliance away. This is also another point to show how crazy powerful KCM2 Biju transformation is, where Sasuke literally shitting himself like he's got this much chakra. You know what I mean? And even Tobirama like commenting on it, but then calling him an idiot, telling him like only Sage Jutsu. And this right here implying basically that Minato has the same power and everything. He's like, you got the same, you know, me inside you as your son. You ought to be able to provide powerful support to him. He's like, I know that already. And you know, talking, and then even Naruto, which is another thing for all the people that say, oh, Minato wouldn't be able to utilize Sage Mode or anything. Actually, in KCM too, in that state, he can literally absorb nature energy a lot faster, meaning that AKA Minato could be able to do just the same. You know, and then guess what? Minato could be able to stack Sage Mode on top of his fucking Kyuubi Biju form, you know, which is insane. Or he could just be able to do it, you know, while with just a Kyuubi cloak alone and have Sage Mode. And this is him, you know, basically Minato doing like a big ass Rising Gon, and then he's like, Naruto add Sage Jutsu as well to it and everything. This is also another point when they were fighting the 10 Tails, to where the 10 Tails just swatting the BG mode like away like he's fucking nothing. And Naruto's like, wow, he's really surprisingly fast, you know, because he's literally the embodiment of nature energy itself. Clearly showing you how powerful, you know, nature energy is. And this is another point where Sasuke is getting pissed off after he stacks Sage mode with his biju mode. He's like, this is Naruto now with perfect control over this much chakra. He's like, how far will you? Basically getting pissed off, pulling the part 1 Naruto vibes of him surpassing him over and over, This is also another thing that Minato could be able to do as well. And literally imagine Minato utilizing a tail beast bomb and adding Sage Jutsu to that shit. Imagine that. Alright, so now we're going to be discussing how basically Minato performed against Juubito, which would be, the mindless one. And then, eventually just when Juubito's in control. And before we even get into that, into the showings, and he actually did a very, very good job, even despite the conditions, while being mentally nerfed, which also impacted his power and everything. So it's literally stated here, okay, that, cheering up Minato from his stupor, okay, is the one who had become the first Kashinobi, etc., etc. If you guys don't know what this word means, let me show you what that means. So literally, right here, a state of near unconsciousness or insensibility, a drunken stupor, okay? Then if you type here, condition of greatly dulled or completely suspended sense of sensibility, drunken stupor, especially achieving mental condition marked by absence, spontaneous movement, greatly diminished responsiveness to stimulation, usually impaired in consciousness. Clearly showing why he's even performing the way he's performing after he finds out Obito, was the masked man all along and all that stuff, and realizing everything was basically, basically blaming himself and thinking everything was his fault, the whole 9 yards. Clearly mentally affected. Yeah, people want to have the audacity to say, that, oh, he just performed that way because he's just trash or just not powerful or whatever. There was clearly a reason. But let's move on and show how he did. So the first thing that he ever does is basically to a point where, Naruto and Sasuke are about to get killed. And then basically Naruto touches him with his QB, cloak while he's in KCM 1. And then Minato just teleports him out of the way before mindless Juubito could even kill him. Which is very impressive because, remind you, mindless Juubito was able to speed blitz Tobirama and cut him and the first Hokage in half. And then right when he cut him in half and went through him, because he speared through his body, Tobirama had some paper bombs on him that he used as a technique for Edo summonings, okay? And literally, there's paper bombs on Juubito, okay? And then he was also able to mark mindless Juubito while reacting when he got hit as well. Which is, it's fine and all. It can be impressive and everything, but it's not really a big deal because at the end of the day, it's just him reacting to a mindless creature. It's not even full power Juubito, so it doesn't even really actually show or prove anything, and it's not really a good feat either for Tobirama, And then overall, he just does his paper bombs, and that's basically it, So and there, you can either imply that, or when Juubito speed blitzed him, then he just stood there, and you could also imply that Tobirama just placed it on him right afterwards, okay? Or, but what he said is that he placed the mark when he made contact with Juubito, or when Juubito made contact with him, meaning implying that right when Juubito hit him, he marked him, okay? However you want to go about that, it's fine, but overall, paper bombs are put on him as well, and then he blows up and everything, and that's basically what happens to Tobirama. But with Minato, he's able to teleport him and basically, save them before they're even killed and everything, which is pretty impressive. And then another feat that's also really impressive as well with Minato is he's also able to teleport in front of 8th Gate Guy. 8th Gate Guy, remind you. Okay, and basically make everything look in slow motion, which is insane. Okay, and then literally to the point where he just teleports away, and then, he does Kamui, and then Guy can get the final blow. The reason why this is impressive is literally to the point where Guy was teleporting all around and constantly jumping on air and moving from everywhere. Okay, a lot of people try to downplay this feat and be like, oh, Guy is just kind of stepping on air or whatever, so he's more slower or whatever, yada yada. He was literally doing that the whole time, speed blitzing at Juubito the whole fucking time, and then Juubito is like, okay, he's charging now, shoots his orbs, and then that's when Minato comes and teleports it and takes the hits and everything. So overall, this is an incredible speed feat, just going to show how crazy powerful Flying Raijin is. At least, in comparison with Guy moving at full speed and Juubito is sending the Truth Seeker orbs at full speed. Okay, and then you have this feat where basically what happened is, what basically happens as it leads to this point is when Minato was about to do his ability of utilizing multiple kunines and then to teleport with his QB mode as well, Obito started talking back and responding and talking to him. And every time he spoke to Minato, Minato had like an exclamation mark, basically showing like, like he was getting confused or kind of like affected, mentally. You know what I mean? And to where it basically made him have his guard down and like he kind of like hold back for a moment as well. To where then, right when that moment happened, Obito was able to get in control of the Ten Tails and then have full control of the Jinchuriki form and immediately snapped into control and it was like, hello sensei, basically. And then he's like, oh shit. And then now he's dealing with a full power Juubito who's able to react, cut his arm off, and then place a fucking, a bomb on him. And then basically while that's happening, he was able to teleport away before Juubito did any more damage, which is also really impressive. But then once that happened, then he was going to teleport, the bomb away. But that never happened because then Tobirama just came and he grabbed it and he sent his clone to teleport. So he grabbed that, teleport behind Juubito, and then made him go away, again teleporting to send the explosion elsewhere. And this is what I was referring to when it happened. So he gets his arm cut off, and then he like he's like, I use Fire Rise and escape, and he's like, are you sure? And then he sees it there. And this was a moment before he became full stable Juubito, to where he was still unstable. He was about to shoot like a tail beast bomb, and then he was literally ready to just fucking send that shit away. Juubito, who's even stronger, and it's literally confirmed that he's stronger, okay, and more powerful. He was still able, to be able to just teleport that shit away if it came down to it, which is insane. This is also another impressive feat while Juubito is in full control. And basically him moving at full speed, and even Naruto saying, dang, he's really fast. But he's saying, I'm starting to sense him better and better. And then he's able, to kind of react and respond to him. And this right here is proving what I was stating before, to where Obito basically like breaks out of the Four Crimson Rays formation, kind of tosses all that shit away. And then Eito's like, before he was just throwing its power around, but now it's apparently learned to focus it, clearly implying that he's become more powerful. And overall, that's basically it for KCM Minato. So basically, with all those feats I basically provided with his chakra and stamina and power, everything, his son has done with KCM2 that he can do as well, going into biju transformation, being able to utilize Sage Mode, being able to get Sage Mode even more faster and instantaneously because of the KCM2 form. All these things are put into consideration. Then just in base alone, being able to be faster using teleportation. Tobirama literally states his teleportation is better. You know what I mean? Like, all these things, teleporting the tail beast bomb, all, like so much, you fucking name it. Minato, which is a fucking beast with now the tail beast of the half the power of the Nine Tails in him. So we're going to briefly cover Tobirama. And basically, this is him just basically saying that the fact that you upped the precision of that Tensei would be your downfall, basically saying since you gave us at our full power, you kind of fucked up and I'm going to break out of it. He's like, now that we've been revived at our close to our original power, so close. Now, we can't really quantify that, so we don't know, you know what I mean, like if that's like maybe 5% away from their full power or 10%, whatever. But the fact that he even said close is a big deal, because that goes to show even if he was alive or not, it doesn't really change anything in comparison. Because remember, Minato was also dead, so meaning even if they were both alive, it wouldn't change anything, Instead, it would just help Minato even more, and he would be fucked even more. Then this is another point when this is a mindless Juubito, not even when he's in control, when he's more powerful, but just a mindless, and he's able to speed blitz Hashirama and fucking Tobirama. And another crazy thing is Hashirama's like, this guy's even stronger than me, and Tobirama's like, even if you bring back your 5, or like your 5 wood clones or whatever, and regain your full power as an Edo, you still won't be no match for him. He's like, I know. They both get fucked by Juubito. Now, mind you, you know, like there's no paper bombs on him. You know what I mean? Like there's no fucking mark or anything. You don't see that or anything. But either way, they both get speared. Okay, and then what happens is once, you know, that happened, then Tobirama just basically, you know, kind of says everyone scram, places a seal on him and paper bombs, and then that's it. You know, and this is my gripe and my issue with this, because then eventually Tobirama does have a statement where he says, "Oh yeah, I marked him when he made contact with me," and meaning that like he never said like right when he made contact. He just says when he did make contact, meaning implying that he could have marked him afterwards and not right when he got the blitz. It makes no sense whatsoever to say that Tobirama somehow, some way was able to use, okay, you know what I mean, like his fucking left arm to mark him while getting speared. If he speared, you know what I mean, through their body, like speed blitz to where they didn't even know it happened. Even Hiruzen's like, oh shit, okay. There's no way for him to even use his hand to mark his back or anything because he got speared, you know? Like the only way you could imply that happened right when Obito touched him was if Tobirama like had his hand out already and was waiting to like release the mark jutsu, and just somehow, some way was able to time it right when he went through him. But that's just very, 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 like, you know what I mean, unlikely. You know, so what more than likely happened is he was able to get hit, then turn around, you know, mark him on his back. He's just a mindless Juubito, like he's kind of just, you know, weird and all over the place, and then puts paper bombs. Another thing that's really important for you guys, clearly showing that Minato was not trying to also kill Obito. I mean that he was still holding back and yada yada and trying to do things right, to where he literally even stops Kakashi from taking his life. And this is another thing that Tobirama does. This is impressive because he was able to teleport, you know what I mean, both halves. But then again, you guys got to remember, fucking Minato teleported literally the full power Nine Tails as well. You know what I mean? Along with fucking 2 full power tail beast bombs as well. You know, like, so it's like cool, great and all, but Minato basically did even more than what he did at this moment, you know? So overall, basically what the conclusion that we're left with, guys, Minato just in base alone is faster than Tobirama with teleporting and everything. You know what I mean? Like, all that good stuff. Then give him Sage Mode. And I've literally shown you everything, you know, basically he could be able to do if he was using Sage Mode. Then give him Biju Mode or KCM 2 while on top of that. Okay? And mind you, just in base alone, he's over here being comparable to KCM 2 Naruto without the QB Cloak and the Nine Tails power. You know what I mean? And then as a Jonin, he was even comparable to KCM 1 Naruto. Okay? All that. Then give him Sage Mode. And then imagine him with now the power of the Nine Tails. Okay? You know what I mean? And all that. And we've seen everything he's been able to do. The amount of chakra he has, stamina, you name it. Like, all the attacks he can do. All that good stuff. Being able to fight against Juubito, you know what I mean? Like, it was crazy. And then imagine him stacking that with Sage Mode, which I literally even showed you guys how it's proven how he can even get nature energy tremendously even faster, to where, you know what I mean, it wouldn't even take him long or anything because he has KCM 2 mode. Okay? So, like, what the fuck does Tobirama do against a guy that has KCM 2, then Biju Mode KCM 2, and then to even stack Sage Mode? Like, what do you do? Even like KCM 2 with Sage Mode stacked and him not even going to Biju Mode would be just insane. You know? Like, overall, there's no argument whatsoever. It's very, very obvious as day. It's not rocket science. He surpasses him in all kinds of fucking ways. You know what I mean? All kinds of ways. Tobirama doesn't scale to Juubito. He doesn't even scale to Madara either or anything like that. A lot of people make some crazy assumptions, you name it, okay? Like, the only thing that he has done with Juubito, that he was able to place a mark on him, which, remind you, Minato can do as well. Teleport Juubito, okay? Which, remind you, he can do as well. You know what I mean? Teleport Juubito's attack, which he was going to do as well. You know what I mean? Like, basically, you know, they can do the same shit, but he can do it on a better and faster level altogether. And another thing that Minato can also do that I even showed you guys with a statement with that is if he was to do shadow clones, just with his chakra being connected to that Nine-Tails chakra, he can be able to teleport to them and everything without even marks and you name it, because he's connected to them. You know? Well, actually, no, I lied. He has to be touching them. I lied. So he would have to like extend out like his QB thing or whatever to like touch one, and then he could be able to teleport to all the other ones that have the QB chakra, which is something he cannot do, and literally states that he cannot teleport simultaneously like him. Overall, he has so much more advantages. More chakra, more stamina, more power, better durability, better AP attacks. You know what I mean? The Rasengan, Tail Beast Bomb, Sage Mode, you name it. Like, it's not even like a competition whatsoever. Then you have like a live Madara. And mind you, he does Flying Raijin. Madara reacts and dodges it. And then dodges and reacts to it a second time. Okay. And that's it. While Minato was able to do the same thing but with Obito. And was able to successfully land a hit. While Obito also has a hacks ability that is supposed to negate anything and just go and pass right through him. Which, remind you, is something Madara can't do. He would either need to activate the Susanoo, or he would need to just dodge and react. And he was able to succeed in that same exact attack that Tobirama did with the Rasengan, while Tobirama was just trying to do that with the kunai. And the only other thing that Tobirama also does is he teleports... he also teleports a KCM one, not KCM one. He teleports a Sage Mode Naruto, and is able to like teleport to the mark behind Obito's back and land a hit. But then again, Obito didn't even know he was marked. You know what I mean? There, and when after he got hit, he kind of eats it, licks his fingers, and then from there he starts protecting his back. And then Tobirama literally states, "Okay, well, it looks like we're not going to be able to get another attack behind his back anymore." They still try to do it again, and it's with Minato and Naruto in their full biju mode. Okay. Combining, a massive Rasengan together and slamming that shit into Juubito's back, but Juubito is able to block it, even though they did the same move, proving that the Flying Raijin is not enough anymore and whatnot, as long as Obito or Juubito is literally defending himself, okay? Meaning, indicating that he does not have a fast enough teleportation speed to surpass Juubito. It's blatantly not true. You know what I mean? So, that's also something to put into consideration. And other than that, the only other thing that Tobirama has done is also shot chakra needles at Alive Rinnegan Madara. And Alive Rinnegan Madara just does like a little small chakra Susanoo shield, and then just blocks it and then throws a fucking rod in his head like the bitch he is. Okay? And that's basically what you're working with. Okay, while Minato, on the other hand, was able to teleport and surprise Jubi Madara twice. Once when he was trying to stop Obito from going to him. And even though Jubi Madara did react, and cut off his arm and then basically, kick him away, and he was able to tank a Jubi Madara fucking kick as well in Sage Mode, which just goes to show how insane Sage Mode is, okay? Bottom line is, he was able to still surprise him, because Madara, lifted his head up and everything, was, very surprised, oh shit, and it was an exclamation mark. And it happens again when the whole 8th gate guy thing. Overall, that's simple. Video is going to conclude here. I hope the video wasn't too long. I really, really wanted to show you guys how crazy powerful basically Minato is the moment he gets half of the Nine-Tails power. If you just analyze and see everything Naruto can do, apply that basically to Minato on top with everything he was already able to do in base. And then imagine him even applying Sage Mode, which makes you more powerful, more crazy strong, durable, speed, power, your jutsus, you name it, okay? And then giving him a fucking KCM on top of it to stack Sage Mode with, or better yet, to do a biju mode transformation, and we've seen what that can do? Come on, bro. What the hell does Tobirama even do? If this man can't even handle a portion of Nine-Tails chakra from Kinkaku and Ginkaku, what does he do against fucking half the power of the Nine-Tails at full disposal? And on top of it, adding Sage Mode if you want to. It's very crystal clear, very simple. It's basically what you're getting at. And that's basically it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to leave a like. Comment your thoughts down below and who you think wins this battle. Okay, let me know if, I'm either just capping or everything I basically discussed with you guys. It basically just goes to show how crazy powerful Minato is with the QB. Okay, it's a whole other thing to talk about base to base. That's fine, whatever. But even with base to base, even just with everything I've shown you, he still is faster and better with teleportation, and striking and everything. So overall, I hope you guys really enjoyed it. Subscribe for more content. Subscribe if you guys love the channel. Subscribe if you're a Naruto fan. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.